So are you guys able to see my screen? So Salesforce predominantly plays in the customer relationship management domain. So what is CRM? So when you try to buy a product, right, there is a marketing aspect. Hey, buy my Apple MacBook, or buy my phone, buy my service. It could be a service, it could be a product. So there is a marketing aspect. You get mail, emails, you get SMSs, etc. Okay. So once that happens, then there is a sale of it. So you walk into the store, you start buying the product. So there is a advisor who is going to recommend, hey, you came to Apple store, so probably iPhone 6 Plus may or 7 Plus may work better for you because you need larger screen. So there is a sales aspect, and once that is done, you should be able to give feedback about your experience, right? Like, hey, the advisor was really helpful or whatnot, so that they can basically tune it for the next sales processes. And support of it, which means like you took your phone or any product that you bought home, so there is a problem with it. How do you handle support, right? So customer relationship management works around these aspects. It starts with marketing, it goes to sale, a feedback loop, and a support loop. So it encompasses all this, okay? And if you want to be really successful, you need to be able to attract more customers. And if you have 1,000 customers entering your store, probably you should sell to 80% of the customers. So you want to have a better win rates, okay? So if somebody walks into your store or anything for a product, you should be able to sell more things along with the product, like any accessories. So that's your upsell. If it's a cross-sell, if he's buying an iPhone, so probably you should also look at buying an iPad. So that's a cross-sell. You're selling another product line. Upsell means you're selling more accessories along with the product line. So that's a simple example. So this applies to various industries, like when you're in insurance. So you get emails that, hey, take ICICI Lombard insurance, take a Tata AG insurance. So that's your marketing aspect. Sales means you're maybe buying it online or maybe going to an insurance broker. So every business where there is a sell involved, either be it a product or it could be a repairman, like, hey, there is an AC repairman. So it's a service that he's selling. So both of these any of these aspects will involve customer relationship management, okay? So what does CRM provide? It provides managing this process, right? Like for marketing, who should I target to? For sales, how should I engage with the customer? For support, if a support ticket is open, how should it go through? So these are your, it implements these process, okay? And it increases productivity because you're giving tools to your advisors so that they can deal better with the customer, okay? And nowadays it's all more emphasis on digital channels. You want email marketing versus paper marketing, or you want people to do it online and just order it to their home, or you may want support to do it via phone or send a ticket, open a ticket via mobile app. So there is this aspect that could be digital channel or it could be a regular channel, okay? And CRM will help you improve satisfaction, customer satisfaction. The more you treat the customer better, then there is an increased satisfaction, okay? So that's what customer relationship management in general means. Coming to Salesforce, what does it do? So it implements CRM, and it is the market leader within CRM market, and it's a software as a service company, which means you don't have to set up boxes, install software, etc. All you got to do is pay them money. They're going to give you the software in a moment. Like you can sign up for a developer org in under 30 seconds. So there is this provisioning aspect that is easy. So you don't have to worry about that. All you worry about is how should my process work. So all you're worried about is the configuration aspect, okay? And most of the stuff is configuration driven. There is also the coding aspect, but most of the functionality for small businesses, mid-sized businesses can be done through configuration. So you don't really have to know a lot of code, but for advanced customization, you need to know code, okay? And it is available as a mobile application so that you don't have to write a new mobile application. So all these aspects make Salesforce easy to use, and that's why you're seeing a lot of companies buying Salesforce product, and it owns 30% of the CRM market. It's a market leader. So as they buy more, they need more people to help them roll out the software for their company purposes. Each company has a different sales process. Though Salesforce gives a standard sales process, each company will customize it because a phone is sold differently than an insurance product, is sold differently than something else. So each company will have its own nuances on how its sales should work, how its support should work. So that's why they buy the software and they start customizing it on top of it. Okay. So pretty much it with sales over, and jumping into Lightning, which is the main crux of this webinar, right? You do see a lot of buzz like, oh, Salesforce is released Lightning, so what does it mean for you? What does it mean for the customer, so that you are ready to help a customer embrace it or implement it, okay? So why are we here? We want to unmystify the Lightning buzzword. What does it really mean, okay? And how is the customer impacted by it? And am I in a better position to help them, okay? So let's walk through the Salesforce Lightning concepts. So before I jump into the Lightning concept, right, just wanted to provide a perspective of what the user interface looks like. Lightning is more centered around user interface, so the change in the default Salesforce interface, okay? This is one of the screenshots. So on the left-hand side, we call it as Salesforce Classic, meaning the user interface so far, okay, which means that has been there from 2001 or 2003. You see, right, like it's like a typical web application. You see elements, you see frames, okay? On the right hand side, this is your Lightning experience, okay? This is the home page. So the moment you, the navigation is on the left side. Recent release, they moved it on the top, but you do see this interface has a lot of rich look and feel. It isn't as bland as this. So the left hand side is more old school, which is again termed as, whenever people say Salesforce Classic UI, right, user interface, that's what they mean, what is currently available. Lightning is all the futuristic UI, in a sense that it is more responsive design, the way they put their user interface elements, the boxes, blocks, or their building blocks, etc. So it gives a lot of rich look and feel, so that user adoption is more higher, okay? Let me take you to another screenshot. See, here this is an opportunity. Opportunity means it's part of your sales life cycle. Hey, I'm selling something to Express Logistics. You have detail here. You have, hey, I need to call a customer, or what did I already call about? So you do see this page. There is the basic detail about the page. There are related items, activity history, what contacts needs to be talked to, and how did I get this opportunity. So you do see a typical staged opportunity details, one after the other. But here on the right hand side is the look and feel within Lightning experience. If you look at here, right, it's saying that, hey, you have already crossed 4 opportunity stages. All you need to do is you have 3 more. So it gives a progress bar. That itself will give a clear understanding for the sales rep that, hey, I completed 6 steps out of 9, so I just have to finish 4 more for this opportunity to close. So it's much more rich in an experience wise. See, the details is in its own sub tab. You can log a call real quick that, hey, I talked to Barbara and this is what we talked about, so you can log it quick. So the number of clicks is reduced, and it takes the user experience to a completely different fashion, okay? So at the end of the day, Lightning is all about user experience. The rest of the Salesforce, like your back-end processing, workflow processing, process builder, everything remains the same. It's just the look and feel has been changed quite a bit, because you got to change with user changing preferences, right? People don't like this anymore. People want responsive user interfaces. So you got to be up to speed with user preferences. So that's why Salesforce is also embracing that futuristic responsive design for their web applications. Okay, and hopefully this gives a quick glimpse of what Lightning user interface means. And Salesforce does a lot of rebranding of the products. So when they say Sales Cloud to Lightning Sales Cloud, right, it just means that that product is implementing Lightning user interface. So there is a lot of rebranding that is happening, but most of the products you would see as Lightning enabled. Okay. So how did we get there? Okay. Because there is a lot of industry trend towards responsive web and mobile applications. People don't like crappy user interfaces. If the user interface is bad, then they may not even use the application. The expectation of people has changed quite a bit. So earlier, when mainframes were around, green screens were fine for most of the call center agents, but not anymore. So they want nice user interface. Salespeople, they want nice user interface. And there has been a lot of explosive growth in the JavaScript-based frameworks like jQuery, Angular, Twitter Bootstrap, etc. So what these JavaScript frameworks give is they give flexibility to build a lot of responsive applications and run optimally within the browser or your mobile browser or desktop browser. Okay. And Salesforce Classic UI, which we looked in the other screenshots, it adheres to the textbook definition of model view controller. Like this is a model, this is a view, and this is a controller. And it looks old school. So Lightning is a new UI paradigm to implement responsive web applications. Okay. One, it gives a lot of feature-rich interfaces, look and feel. The other is it limits a lot of round-trip time to the servers, right? Like for example, if you're on a regular model view controller like Salesforce Pages or struts in general Java applications, right? The moment you submit, you change something on the page, it makes a round trip to the server. So in any of these newer JavaScript-based frameworks, they don't make a complete round trip. They only make a call just for that element or just for that piece of user interface element. So I just change a table, then it's only going to send and get back the table details. It doesn't get the total page details. So they're more optimally suited for web applications. Okay, and Lightning has released, it's almost 2 years since Salesforce released, so we have come a long way in Lightning. So it's not first version of the product and it's buggy, no customer wants it. So it's been 2 years, so there is a lot of maturity in the product. Okay, so the typical question that people do ask is, hey, does it give all the coverage of the features that were present in my older application? Probably not, because any software company, right, they're gonna do not wait for the end of the product. They just release as they build functionality. Okay, and Salesforce is the same way. So Salesforce, are you guys able to hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we are here.
Okay, sorry, there was an echo. So from a functional coverage standpoint, Lightning is not there yet from a features wise. Let's say opportunity stage history, it's not there in Lightning. Yes, it wouldn't be there. And there will always be feature parity. That's what means, like I can do something in classic user interface, but I cannot do in Lightning, which means they haven't implemented that feature. And some features may not even be ported, because if nobody is using some feature right, then they may not even do it in Lightning. So it's a complete, they're basically porting their user interface from classic user interface to Lightning user interface. So the rest of the stuff remains the same. So as a developer, your Apex code remains the same. It's just that you still have to change the user interface aspect. Okay. So what is involved in this Lightning, right? It's a bunch of many things. So what does it mean? Okay, the first is experience. Okay, and it's the user interface out of the box that is provided for Salesforce One, for the web, etc. Salesforce One is a mobile application that Salesforce has released to interact with its application. Okay, so it's the user interface. So if somebody were to buy Salesforce, then they get Lightning experience user interface, right? You can customize it, but that's what you get out of the box. Okay. The next is component framework. So what it means is, let's say I want a pie chart, and Salesforce isn't giving that pie chart yet, or I want to show a table that is not available within Salesforce. Then a developer community or developers write code for it, right? So it gives a placeholder to write that code, test that code, and use that code within the user interface. So that's your Lightning component framework. Okay, this is what we can call it as custom UI development. So in the if some people I know or the audience has Salesforce background, so this is your typical like your Visualforce pages. Okay, and the next is visual building blocks. Once you build your components or once you have the out-of-the-box UI, you may need to customize it, right? Like for example, for account, I want to show a page with these three things. So you want to be ability to specify drag and drop things, change things. So this visual building blocks give that capability to do it. So it's your drag and drop user interface customization. The next is Lightning design system. Hey, I have an application that is not yet Lightning capable. I want to still do it through the old way, like Visualforce page way, but I still want it to look like it's a Lightning application. So they have defined the style sheets, your icons, etc. So that's Lightning design system. And unless you are a advanced developer, you may not encounter it. Okay. The last one is Lightning Exchange. Okay. Salesforce has a concept called App Exchange, which is like your Google Play Store or Apple's App Store. So if there is an app like you want to do electronic signing, so there is an application for it, DocuSign. So you go install it from the App Exchange place. So not all applications will be Lightning enabled. They may not have the rich look, UI and feel. If they are, then they will be specifying in their App Exchange place that, hey, we are Lightning certified or we are Lightning enabled. So these are your building blocks. But on a day-to-day basis, the first three are what you encounter on a day-to-day basis. Experience, that's out of the box UI. You got to know earlier account page used to look like this. Now it looks like this. So my chatter portal looks like this. Earlier it looks like this. So you need to know that differences between those two. And Lightning component framework, most of the developers will be always developing custom components. So you will get into that more. Visual building tools. So once you develop these components or once you want to customize the out-of-the-box pages, you have to do changes through drag and drop. So you'll encounter this. The last two are what I would say is least priority, but the first three is what you would on a day-to-day basis get into mostly. Okay. So just from an audience perspective, typical roles that you see is Salesforce administrator, right? So hey, what does it mean for a Salesforce administrator to do Lightning experience? He needs to understand what the previous user interface used to do or what should be done in the newer user interface. And he needs to be able to customize the pages. Hey, I want to define a new application within Salesforce. You need to know how the app page looks like, the home page looks like. Or I want to define how my account record page should look like. Then you got to know how to define the record page. Okay. So this is the customization you do with clicks. You don't write any code. Okay, and as we talked about the security, who gets to see what type of objects do they get to see, what can they do on the system, it's all similar to the old one. There is no change with respect to it. The setup menu has changed, but the concepts or the execution still remains the same. It's only the user interface customization is new. So if you're an administrator, what you got to learn is how does my user interface look like now and how can I customize it? So your app pages, home page, etc. Okay, and let's say you go to the extreme of installing new applications from App Exchange place, right? Like I want mapping applications, then I may install a Map Anything or GeoPoint. I want electronic signatures when I send out contracts, so DocuSign or Adobe eSign. So when you're installing these kind of applications, then you may want to make sure that they're Lightning enabled. So this is what an administrator always has to watch out for. Okay, and typically it's it shouldn't take long to transition from the regular interface to Lightning interface customization. It's very easy to do those transition. It's just that you just need to know how the new user interface is structured. The rest of the stuff is very easy transition. The next is developer impact. Okay. So this is where there is a lot of mindset change. Earlier you used to have a Visualforce page, there was a controller, there was an Apex code running behind it, etc. Now they're all Lightning components. So you got to know how to start defining a Lightning component and how to test it. etc. So from a development standpoint, yes, the mindset has changed on how you define new custom components, okay? And there is a lot of emphasis on JavaScript. So it's better, I mean, it will be much easier if you know JavaScript to transition into Lightning development, okay? And there is a it also implements event-driven component communication. So, which means that, hey, I have a pick list component, or I have a table component. If I change the pick list, the table has to refresh. So these talk through events. So there is a new concept that you got to get into your mind when you start doing Lightning component development. And again, there will be a slow learning curve, but it's not rocket science. And most developers know JavaScript anyways, so it's not going to be very hard to transition into this new role. Okay, but again, there will be an initial curve, but after that it should smoothen down. And from a user, like let's say you are a quality assurance engineer, and the complete user look and feel has changed, so you may need to do training manuals again. You may need to update your scripts because what may be present in the home may not be present any there, or what may be present on the right side of the screen may be on the left side of the screen, or whatnot. So if your scripts decide, I mean, like use that information, it will have to change. And if you're doing user training, then you'll have to capture new screenshots, new way of doing thing, etc. So that's where the aspect is. Okay. So what does Salesforce guide people to? Okay. So they recommend that the classic UI will be there for foreseeable future. Okay. So it's going to be there. It's not like they're pulling the plug on classic UI. So right now, if I'm a user, I can switch between these user interfaces. I can look at it the classic way, or I can look at the Lightning experience way. Okay, so I can switch between interfaces, or just on demand. I don't have to open a ticket with someone, or somebody has to do it for me. Okay, so the classic UI is going to stay there for foreseeable future. So for the next 6 years, 8 years, it's going to be there because there is lots of customers who are using classic user interface. They cannot pull the plug. And of course, not all the features are there in the new Lightning experience either. So till that comes to a stable, or there is no feature gap, then at that point they can pull the plug probably, but nothing. So if you're a Salesforce developer who is doing current Visual Force development, that's not going away in the immediate need. Okay, but the new features, anything that Salesforce tries to implement, like they have released an artificial intelligence called Einstein. So if you have a bunch of leads, how do you know which lead to call first, right? Like if I have 100 leads, probably I want to rank them so that I can call the lead that is more probability of closing a deal faster. So that lead I want to call first than the last lead who probably may not close the deal. So there is an artificial intelligence engine called Einstein. And those features will not be available in classic UI because they won't be writing it for to user interface. They're only going to be writing for the future user interface. So any customer who is concerned about new features, they have to come to the new user interface. They cannot be on the older user interface. Okay. So how do customers deal with it now, right? So based on me looking at various customers in my line of business. So let's say I'm a new customer who just bought Salesforce. So probably I'm just doing it Lightning experience. I don't care about classic UI. So what it means is if you're an admin, then you got to know how to satisfy that requirement in Lightning. It doesn't, I mean, you will not be successful if you just know classic UI. So you need to know that. If you're a developer, you need to know how to build custom components so that it can talk, you can customize the user interface for the new customer, right? So if you're coming from a Salesforce background, if you're learning new, so this is the future way forward. So you got to learn it. So for a new customer, he's going to be in Lightning experience. So you got to know it. If it's an existing customer, right? So what Salesforce has done is they have provided assessment tools. So they are going to look at all your code base, your user interface, and tell, hey, what are the things that can be migrated right now, and what are the risks, right? Like what features are not there, etc. So there is the tool runs, looks at your Salesforce instance and delivers a report like which can be migrated, which cannot be migrated, etc. Okay. And once that is there, then you prepare a migration strategy, right? Like I have 10 sets of users. I have sales people, I have operations people, I have call center people, right? I don't need to migrate everyone at the same time. I can do 3 groups first and later 3 groups. So you define that strategy and you start migrating, right? Migrating means admins or business consultants are going to do, administrators are going to do page customizations, developers are going to write new components which do similar thing as old components, etc. Okay, but there is no set in timeline for, say, from Salesforce that guys, you got to do this, right? So every company does it at their own pace when they have budgets or when there is a push from the users that guys give me the new user interface. So the timing will be different from each customer, but when they are ready, they need people to tell them how to do it, what to do, and how to test it when it is done, right? So all these aspects needs to be accomplished for them to be on this new Lightning experience. So the customer journey may differ from what stage they are in, and it depends. If you're helping a new customer, then all you will do is Lightning. If you're helping an older customer, you need to understand what it is in the older one and how to probably do in the new one. Okay, so I would say if you're entering the market or if you're becoming a Salesforce professional right now, you probably want to learn both. Both will look the same because it's just the user interface aspect. The rest of the stuff remains the same. So it's just that maybe you learn aspects in both just for the user interface. Okay. And what's happening around the customers, right? It's released. So what are customers doing right now? So it's been released 2 years old, right? So nobody wants to be the first guy, right? So people have let small businesses do all that kind of testing, mid-business, etc. So it's 2 years old, so it's mature. And since it's mature with less feature gaps between the old version to the new version, many enterprise customers are migrating now, like big customers, like big companies, telecom providers, oil and gas, services companies themselves use Lightning, like Accenture uses, PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers uses it. So they have like 20,000 users on Salesforce instance. So they are looking at migrating now, which means now is the time. They decided that, hey, it's 2 years old. Why don't we migrate it? We want to take leverage of the new capabilities that are being released. So many enterprise customers meaning big customers, are migrating now. So there is a need. There is a vacuum or a need for people who know stuff how to do it the new way. Okay, and it's gonna be incrementally changing. You got to be up to date with the latest stuff that's happening, but you, at least at the base minimum level, you got to know what it means, how to customize, and how to roll it out. Okay. And new customers will start on Lightning UI. That's given, because why would anyone want to implement it in old UI and 4 years down the line, 5 years down the line, they want to migrate it, right? So they will just start using new Lightning UI. So there is a need for you to learn both. I mean, like both versions, a little less emphasis on Classic, but more emphasis on Lightning. Okay. I have run through most of my presentation. So any questions that you guys have? Any questions, Srini, that are posted? Let me see. Okay.
Yeah, Raghu.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of questions from the audience. I just wanted to highlight here. One of the questions by Nagachandra is that what are the challenges converting JavaScript to Lightning components?
Okay, so this is a very good question. So right now, Salesforce, right, like it doesn't support using third-party JavaScript frameworks. So if you are doing Angular JavaScripting or jQuery JavaScripting, they don't support it yet because still the product is maturing, right? So third-party JavaScript frameworks will do the same stuff as Salesforce Lightning, and they don't know if they will have any interdependency issues. Okay, That's one answer. The second answer is, let's say you have JavaScript and you want to convert into Lightning component. You just have to implement their the way their controllers, etc. So it's very easy to do so. If you're a good JavaScript developer in the past, the concepts remain the same. So one component giving event to the other component, there is a controller behind it, etc. So it's all easy. So for a JavaScript developers, this is like a piece of cake. It's not a big deal. Okay, but you cannot use, the limitation is you cannot use AngularJS or jQuery anymore, because till a point where the Salesforce guys say that we will support it, at this point it's not supported because they don't know what the interdependencies or what impact custom frameworks will have on their Lightning JavaScript framework. Does this answer your question, Nagachandra? Hello, Srini, are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, we are able to hear you. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
I think that's actually pretty exhaustive, answer provided by you. So thanks a lot for that. And we have one more question coming from Sumant Reddy. I'm unmuting Sumant Reddy so that he can ask directly the question to you. Sumant, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Raghu. And I have the question regarding the user interface. You know, the Lightning provides a very broad user interface, so that whenever my clients are browsing that, like it's giving it like a huge page. You know that like for the Salesforce Classic, it is very narrow, right? The length. You know, when designing the Lightning components in CSS, we will specify the length and the width, but as an admin, can we do the same thing whichever the CSS component does?
So are you talking about out-of-the-box page, or are you talking about a custom page that you have done in Lightning?
Not the custom page. Custom page, I know. Yeah, out of the box.
Okay, out of the box, right? So the recent trend has been that people like a lot of information on their screen. They don't want to do scrolling, okay, top to bottom, right? Like say, so that's a trend. So that's the market research, okay. And there is a specified desktop resolution that most people use, okay. It's like 2100 by 1700 or whatnot, right? So that is optimized for what most people are using. So what I would say is, take a look at what your client is using as for his desktop resolution. Okay, if he's still using like a 1400 by etc., right? I mean, like they didn't build it for that, unfortunately. Okay, so that's something that you have to keep in mind. And of course, like you can take away, you can just customize that page. I mean, it doesn't have to be like you write code for it, right? You can always, there is a concept called record page. Let's say you're an account. You customize a record page. You can take out the stuff that you don't want from the right-hand bar. You can take out the stuff. I mean, it shows as quadrants: top quadrant, side quadrant, left quadrant, sorry, right quadrant, left quadrant, bottom quadrant. You can take out some of those blocks away. That would take away some busyness in the screen. That's very easy to do. Okay, but definitely resolution is something that, of course, like they do this kind of something called A/B testing, right? A/B testing means they give a user interface to 10 users and they give another user interface to 10 users and ask like, hey, which one is better, right? So they do all the testing, and of course, like I like desktops with a lot of resolution. I want to see everything in one screen than scrolling. Probably, that's something that you can change a record page to take out some of the stuff from the quadrants, and that will help you.
Yeah, and there is like I know about the desktop resolution, and there is third-party tools to do that. But is there anything like a Salesforce provided feature to make that? Because like
you try playing. Try playing with record page, right? Like you can customize a record page.
Okay.
Go to, there is a concept called App Builder, right? Go to App Builder, define a page, attach it to the account, and take away all that stuff that you don't need.
Okay. Okay. You are saying that to customize the record page.
Yeah, customize the record page and take stuff out of that right sidebar or left sidebar to make it fit in the screen easily, so that you don't do a lot of scrolling.
Okay, Raghu. Thank you very much.
But as you know, right, like most guys write software that works on most resolutions. Not you know what I mean? Like if somebody is using 1080, nobody would touch it.
No. Okay, thank you, Raghu. And do you know anything about the Lightning design system? A brief about that?
Yeah. The Lightning design system is more for, let's say I'm still building a Visual Force based application, right? But I want it to look like Lightning user interface. Then I use that style sheets, I use the icons, I structure the information on my page the way Lightning does it, etc. So Lightning design system gives style sheets and some design principles on user interface design principles on how things are to be placed on a page. Okay, and advanced developers are people who write applications for Salesforce, right? Like DocuSign, etc. They deal with the Lightning design system quite a bit. On a day-to-day basis, you may not encounter with it a lot.
Okay, thank you, Raghu. That's it.
Thanks a lot, Raghu. I think we do have one more question coming up from Suresh Sanaboyna. I'm unmuting him. Suresh, can you please speak up?
Hi, Raghu. I have a question. Like in Salesforce Classic, we have a button there. What we are doing is when we click on that button, we are opening a new doing a URL, like we are populating the record type and some other fields. Whereas in Lightning, we are not able to do that. Can you let me know how can we do that?
Yes. So any of these URL-based navigations, it's not allowed in Lightning, okay? And they won't even allow it in the future.
Hello?
Because it's a security...
Hello, sir. This is Surya, sir.
It's not good from a security standpoint.
Sir, can I integrate Lightning Compost with other frameworks such as Angular, sir?
You cannot. At this point, no.
Like, what is the alternative to do that?
There is no alternative. I mean, you're asking about Angular framework, or there were two questions mixed in between. So let's clarify this, okay? Coming to your Angular question, there is no alternative. Salesforce is not going to allow incorporation of third-party JavaScript frameworks at this point for the next 1 year at least, because they don't know what the impact is going to be if people start putting Twitter Bootstrap, Angular, jQuery. So no.
This for URL hack, like, is there any alternative to that?
Okay. For URL hack, coming to the URL hack concept, right? You can. There is a concept called Lightning Actions that are supposed to allow you to write a button that can send set a record type, etc. Okay. So I mean, like, that's a longer discussion, but Lightning Actions is something that you should take a look at if you were doing that.
Okay. And is that the only option? Is it the only solution that we can go with?
That's correct. Yes, that's the only solution. URL hacks will not be allowed going forward.
Okay. And I have one more question. Like we have created a Visual Force page, and in that we are using the JavaScript thing, like say sforce.connection.get layout, describe layout. So from that, let's say for an account object, we are dynamically getting the fields from the page layout, but that is not possible.
Okay, so let's say if you're doing that in Lightning, right? You can still do it. Lightning is all JavaScript. I mean, it will be Salesforce's JavaScript object. Maybe you will have to change the type of SDK that you're using, but you can still do everything. It's like any remoting call that you're making in the classic world, you can still make a remoting call. Okay, it's just that you cannot use Angular or jQuery.
But when I use that, when I use that, I'm getting this exception saying that SForce is not defined on the Lightning component.
On the Lightning component, all those SForces are changed to new libraries. take a look at new libraries on how you get objects, how you get connections, etc. So there is an equivalent SDK library for everything. Okay, take a look at how you write a Lightning component. They'll give you how to refer to a component, how to refer to an object, etc. stuff.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks, Raghu. I hope Suresh, you have got the direction from Raghu on that one. And we have got a couple of questions, and then probably we can wind up the session later. And one of the question is from Brahma Reddy. Brahma Reddy, can I unmute you so that you can ask the question? So let me see if he's there. Brahma Reddy, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. Brahma Reddy, can you speak up? Okay, his question is like, currently my organization uses SalesForce Classic. If we enable Lightning in Auth, will it impact custom functionality? Because we have lots of pages, those developed in AIS, Bootstraps. So those pages will those pages be affected? That was his question, Raghu.
Yes, they will be affected. So if you are an old customer who has tons of stuff developed in Classic, take a look at SalesForce Lightning Assessment Tool. Okay, it will be available on your setup menu. It will tell you all the inconsistencies or the things that you have to watch out for. So whatever you have developed that is a lot of excessive customization may not work.
Okay. So, thanks, Raghu. And Vishwanath, I unmuted you, so can you please speak up with your questions?
Hey, Raghu, is Lightning system with SalesForce, it really went back to S controls again?
Can you repeat that question?
With Lightning, did SalesForce go back to, with Lightning system, did SalesForce again went back to S controls?
Not really. Okay, so Lightning system is predominantly, okay, the emphasis are a couple of things, right? So the emphasis is more on like, let's give users the more responsive interfaces, which means most of the code should run on browsers, right? Boxes are powerful, mobiles are powerful, they can run a lot of code, okay? And you want to push processing as much as to users' desktop or mobile, so that at the data center you can only have minimal data access function. So that's the rationale for SalesForce doing the Lightning system. S controls have been deprecated long back. In Classic also you cannot define a new S control. So it isn't an equivalent apples to apples comparison. It's just a new user interface paradigm, how they want to use computing, right? Mobiles are equally powerful to some of the lower end laptops now. So why don't we let them run a lot of JavaScript code, the controller, the sorting through the data, etc., rather than posting all the data to Salesforce data center and crunch the number there. You would avoid network trap, and you still process it users. You don't need that much power in the data centers. So it's not just Salesforce. Microsoft Dynamics or everybody is doing it as well. It's a new user interface model to give better optimal experience for the users.
And yeah, thanks for that clarifying. And I have one more question. Like, if will Salesforce come up with a Lightning framework with the built-in components like Visualforce has, like example, action supports. So for just to display a single line of text or text fields, Lightning, we have to write a bunch of codes. So will Salesforce come up with the the built-in components for Lightning, so which will be
there are certain report component, there are certain recent component. I mean, like it's as it goes by, right? Like maybe Salesforce releases it, or I mean, like you cannot say for sure, but their idea is to get functionality fast, right? Their idea is not to write components fast, just in their best interest, right? Maybe people across the development community in GitHub or anything like that will start defining those reusable components. So it will get there, but it's again, Salesforce may not do it right out of the bat because they have fixed amount of resources who are working on porting the functionality, right? So they may not do your built-in components, but it will get there eventually. And I do see, I mean, like lot of people already have developed some custom components for lightning experience, like repeated things. So if you're, it's not just this, right? Like any technology, when you're going from old to new, there is always going to be feature gap. It's going to take time to catch up. And again, the mindset that you have to always do is, well, I used to do this in SalesForce Classic. Now I cannot do this in Lightning. You can't throw away your hands, right? It will always take time to unlearn what you have learned. So you always have to go with a fresh mindset. You unlearn what you know and just approach it with a newer attempt, right? What action support means, it could be done differently here. It doesn't mean you always have to do a lift and shift. That's the terminology that they use. What it was working earlier doesn't mean that's the one the users want in the new one as well. They may want things to be done differently. So when you're doing migrations especially, you need to ask the user, this is what you have in the current system. Is this how you want to do it in the future system? Because I'm doing it from scratch. So you better tell me that what you want to do in the future. If you do lift and shift, you're just wasting money and spending time on something is not value to anybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raghu. Thanks, Vishwanath. Anybody has any other questions, or you want to conclude the session, Raghu? Right now, I don't see any questions coming in our way. So yeah, we answered all the questions they asked, our audience asked. So yeah, you were telling something, Raghu?
No. I think then it's nice talking to you guys, and
yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Raghu, for taking the time out and then giving this outstanding presentation on SalesForce Lightning, because many people have their different opinions and perspective towards this new framework. I think whatever this session it clarified certain technical and functionality, and it's framework impact on as a whole, right? So it's a very useful session. I truly enjoyed this, Raghu. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for attending this session on over a weekend when you can actually relax. You actually attended this session. That itself is a great thing. And I just wanted to make few announcements, like after this, the career drive is going to happen. So those people who are keen on attending the SalesForce career drive, they will actually go through the assessment. We have an online test that you may have to clear it up, and then followed by a screening. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing is, like we are in a couple of weeks we are coming up with a new batch of SalesForce complete training, which encompasses both the administration and development as well as integration, along with the Lightning new features and everything included. And you will have around 6 projects to do it. So it's going to be more hands-on session. So those people who are like freshers who do not know anything about CRM domain itself. So we are actually also launching something like CRM foundation course before going to SalesForce course. So you'll get the basics of the CRM fundamentals and then actually take on to the SalesForce journey altogether. That's what we are actually doing. So if those people who are on this webinar who wants to sign up for that, please feel free to drop an email or call us, right? Our email ID I'm actually punching in here, info@ennoblegrp.com, or you can actually register on our website, ennobletechnologies.com. Okay? Thank you so much, and appreciate your time. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Raghu. Take care.
Bye-bye.